America is building a force field, not over a base, not over a city, over the entire country. And most of it is meant to sit in space. It's called Golden Dome. In the next 10 minutes, a plan for roughly 7,800 weapons orbiting the Earth, a 40-year-old dream that already failed once and cost more than the Manhattan Project, a price tag that swings from $175 billion to over $1 trillion, and an estimate that says stopping just 10 enemy missiles might take 40,000 interceptors. This is the most ambitious shield ever attempted. And the question underneath it, can you really build a roof over America, or is it a trillion-dollar mirage? On January 27, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order titled Iron Dome for America. Within months, it had a new name, Golden Dome. The idea is simple to say and almost impossible to build. A shield that can stop any missile fired at the United States, ballistic, hypersonic, or cruisy, from anywhere on Earth. Now, Israel's Iron Dome already works, but Iron Dome protects a country the size of New Jersey against short-range rockets that fly for a few seconds. Golden Dome has to cover an entire continent against intercontinental missiles that arrive from space at 20 times the speed of sound. It's the same idea, scaled up about 100-fold. Why now? Because the threat changed. For decades, America's homeland defense was essentially 44 interceptors in Alaska and California, built to stop a handful of missiles from a rogue state like North Korea. But China and Russia now field hypersonic weapons that swerve and maneuver, and China is digging hundreds of new missile silos. So for the first time, America wants to defend its homeland not against a rogue state, but against a superpower. And the Pentagon says the only way to do that is to put the guns in space. Golden Dome is really 3 shields stacked on top of each other. Layer 1, eyes, a new network of satellites, the hypersonic and ballistic tracking space sensor meant to watch the whole planet and catch launches that ground radars simply can't see. Layer 2, the ground, interceptors in Alaska, warships at sea, and new weapons designed to catch a missile in its final seconds. But Layer 3 is the one everyone argues about, interceptors in space. Weapons that orbit the Earth and dive down to kill an enemy missile in the first minutes of flight. The boost phase, when it's slow, glowing hot, and hasn't released any decoys yet. Here's the catch. A satellite in low orbit doesn't hover. It circles the Earth about once every 90 minutes. So at any moment, most of your interceptors are on the wrong side of the planet. To guarantee that even one is over the right spot at the right time, studies say you need around 950 of them, just as a minimum. To build the real shield, the Congressional Budget Office assumes roughly 7,800. And it gets harder. Each of those satellites lasts only about 5 years before it burns up and has to be replaced. So even after you launch all 7,800, you'd have to keep launching around 1,600 new ones every single year, forever. A shield you have to rebuild endlessly, which raises an obvious question. Hasn't America tried exactly this before? It has. 40 years ago, March 1983, President Ronald Reagan goes on television and promises a shield that will make nuclear weapons, in his words, impotent and obsolete. The press mocks it as Star Wars. Its real name, the Strategic Defense Initiative. By the late 80s, the plan had a centerpiece, and if this sounds familiar, it should. It was called Brilliant Pebbles, thousands of small, cheap interceptors orbiting the Earth, waiting to slam into enemy missiles. The exact same idea as Golden Dome Space Layer. The exact same physics. So what happened to it? In 1987, the American Physical Society, the leading body of U.S. physicists, studied the concept and concluded the technology was decades away, and that another 10 years of research were needed just to know if it was even possible. Between 1990 and 92, the interceptor was tested 3 times. All 3 failed. In 1993, after spending more than $60 billion, over twice the cost of the Manhattan Project, Star Wars was canceled. Not one working weapon was ever built. Golden Dome is Brilliant Pebbles, brought back from the dead. So what's actually different this time? Really, one thing: SpaceX. Mass-produced satellites and cheap, reusable rockets have made putting thousands of objects into orbit far cheaper than anything Reagan could dream of. The rockets got cheaper, the launch got easier. But the physics that killed this exact idea in 1993 hasn't changed at all. Which brings us to the money, and nobody agrees on the number. The White House says Golden Dome will cost $175 billion, then quietly raised it to $185. But when the Congressional Budget Office, Congress's own independent scorekeeper, ran the math, they came back with a very different figure, about $1.2 trillion over 20 years. And the American Enterprise Institute says a full system could reach $3.6 trillion. Why the trillion-dollar gap? Those space interceptors. They alone are more than 60% of the entire price. But cost isn't even the deepest problem. This is, to stop a real attack, you don't just have to beat the missiles, you have to beat the decoys. And it is always cheaper to add a fake warhead than to add a satellite to shoot it down. Now here's the number that should stop you cold. Independent studies estimate that to reliably intercept just 10 enemy intercontinental missiles in their boost phase, you might need on the order of 40,000 interceptors in orbit. 40,000 to stop 10. Golden Dome plans for fewer than 8,000, and that's against 10 missiles. China alone is projected to have hundreds of warheads by 2030, which is why even the analysts behind the trillion-dollar estimate concluded, even then, it still couldn't stop China. So if it might not actually work against the country it's aimed at, why is America building it anyway? Because the pieces are already in motion. In 2025, Congress put roughly $24 billion into Golden Dome as a down payment, with another $13 billion for this year. In April 2026, the Space Force handed 12 companies, including SpaceX, Anduril, Lockheed, Northrop, and Raytheon, up to $3.2 billion just to build prototype interceptors. The goal? A first test in space by 2028 and a full system sometime in the mid-2030s. But behind the announcements, the program is struggling. Pentagon insiders describe it as spinning its wheels. One official said that writing a credible plan for how Golden Dome actually works is, quote, likely impossible. And there's a deeper cost, one that never shows up in a budget. China and Russia have both called Golden Dome destabilizing. Their answer won't be to surrender. It'll be to build more missiles, more decoys, and more weapons to blind or destroy those satellites. A shield meant to end the threat could trigger the very arms race it was built to stop. So here's the honest verdict. Against a single missile from a rogue state, Golden Dome might genuinely work. Against a full attack from a superpower, most physicists say it can't. Not for $185 billion, not for $1.2 trillion, maybe not at any price. America is betting that this time, the 40th year, the dream finally comes true. It is the most expensive bet in the history of defense. Would you spend $1 trillion on a shield that might not hold? Tell me below. And the weapons this shield is built to stop. The world's nuclear arsenals. That story is on your screen right now.